midnight cries. Ethan had always hated the silence of his new apartment. It was in a rundown building on the outskirts of the city where the streetlights barely worked, and the neighbors kept to themselves. He'd moved there for cheap rent, but soon he began to regret his decision. Every night at exactly 12:15 a.m., he heard crying. It wasn't loud, it was faint, like someone sobbing softly just outside his door. At first, he dismissed it as the sound of the old pipes or perhaps a stray cat, but the crying continued night after night, always at the same time, always growing closer. One night, curiosity got the better of him. He opened his door to find the hallway empty, yet the crying grew louder, as if it was coming from the walls themselves. Ethan's heart pounded as he stepped out, following the sound. The hallway seemed endless, far longer than it should have been. The dim light flickered, casting eerie shadows. As he walked, he noticed scratch marks on the walls. Long, jagged lines, as though someone had clawed at them in desperation. The crying led him to the basement, a place he had avoided ever since moving in, as it always gave him a strange, uneasy feeling. The sound was deafening now, echoing off the cold, damp walls. In the center of the basement was an old, rusted door, slightly ajar. Ethan hesitated but pushed it open. Inside was a small, dark room with a single chair in the middle. On the chair sat a doll, old and tattered, its glassy eyes staring directly at him. The crying stopped. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the doll's head slowly turned toward him. "Why did you come here?" a voice whispered, though the doll's lips never moved. Ethan stumbled back, his breath caught in his throat. The walls of the room began to bleed, dark streaks seeping down as the air grew icy cold. The crying returned, louder and more anguished, as if dozens of voices were wailing in agony. He turned to run, but the basement door slammed shut, trapping him inside. The doll's head tilted to one side and its eyes seemed to glow. "You can't leave," the voice hissed. Ethan's screams echoed through the basement, but they soon faded into silence. A few days later, after Ethan's sudden disappearance, news of the apartment began to spread. People whispered about strange occurrences, and the building's owner decided to seal off the basement permanently. Chains were placed on the door, and it was bricked up with cement. Yet at night, neighbors still claimed to hear faint crying, as if it were coming from deep within the walls. Some even reported seeing Ethan in their dreams, standing silently, his face pale, his eyes hollow, and his lips trembling as he repeated the same warning. "Don't open the basement door." Within weeks, the building was abandoned. No one dared to live there. Today, it stands as an empty shell, casting long shadows in the moonlight. Those who pass by at night swear they hear soft whispers and muffled cries drifting from the forgotten basement. And one thing is certain, anyone who dares to enter never comes back.